There he is. Touch him, June. Touch him. Touch him, June. Yeah. You all right? Oh.
All right, all right. All right. We're going to get our speeches started here. Thank everybody for coming out. This is our third veillée, another beautiful night. How about a round of applause for Miss Sarah Russo? Oh, Gorgeous, huh? She's awesome. Go Tigers, and I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I'm Bob Luke. I think I know everybody here. I just wanted to crank the speeches off today. I want to mention every year about this time, I think it's the best history book made, and it's made from, it's a cookbook from John Foss. It's the Encyclopedia of Cajun and Creole Cuisine. And I'll leave it around if anybody wants to flip through it, but the first like 100 pages or so is he breaks down all of the different ethnic groups that came through Acadiana and how they contributed to the cuisine of that we have around here. Native Americans, all the different spices and things they do with catfish and different things like that, to the Germans who brought us sausage and boudin, and the African Americans who brought okra and gumbo, and just it's a beautiful book, but it's a testimony to how far we've come as a community, and it's sort of the spirit of, okay, Winston, we hear you. It's sort of you know, the spirit of the cafe, and what brings it all together, and it continues. You know, that all the different groups continue to blend into the wonderful cookbook of Acadiana. So check this out. I love it. I love to read it. It's a great book. And with that, that's my little message for the day. We will, this is the last veillée of the fall. We're going to pick it back up in the spring. And I think Dee Dee's going to have a few things for everybody to coach them up on at the end. So I'm going to bring my assistant up here. Round of applause, my daughter, Emma Luke.
Okay, I'm just going to be introducing the speakers tonight. Appreciate that. Okay, first up we have Roy Petitfils, the Luke family therapist. If you want to know a secret about us, I'm joking. He's awesome. He's going to come up here and talk about inclusivity, I believe.
That's only fair since Dee Dee's my family therapist. And, anyway, I'm going to hold this instead. Hope I can get this back. Hey, good evening, everyone. This is awesome. Wow. I've spoken in some interesting places, and this is not, you know, donkeys. I love it. This is great. Yeah. I get to speak on a topic that's really important to me. I grew up a real poor kid and son of a single mom, and used food as a way to kind of cope with my loneliness. And I was a poor, morbidly obese kid. I graduated high school at like 500 something pounds, and went to a very affluent school. And there were a lot of good folks there, but a lot of folks didn't understand me, and they just looked at me, and that's how kids can be. And it was really, really hurtful. And anyway, fast forward 30 years, and my whole life is about helping kids and helping young people. I'm a therapist with teens and young adults, but I have a special place in my heart when I see people being judged, which is usually because they're not fully understood. They're not fully understood. It breaks my heart, and nothing gets me more angry than when that happens with young people, especially. And I feel like when it comes to mental health, and that's obviously my field. I did ministry a long time ago. I feel like most people judge that which they don't understand. And I think it's most easily done on social media, and I see a lot of folks saying things. It's one of the things I love about the Hooyah Coffee Shop. I love Cafe Detente, that they will say things, we will say things to one another on social media that we would never say if we were sharing a cup of coffee or an adult beverage of your choosing, because I'm sitting in front of another person. And I might say the same content, but I probably wouldn't say it in the same way. And so my invitation, because I know I'm on a short clock, my invitation to everyone is be aware, and this is one of the things I try to do, and I've done it even a lot today, I do it every day. Be aware of the things, especially the people that you might judge and have judgments toward. And maybe just ask yourself, what is it that I don't understand? I think on the t-shirt I saw, be curious. Curiosity, And you know, and we have such a stigma around mental health. Folks, you know, we don't understand it. And so folks hesitate to say, hey, I am going to therapy. 99% of the people I've ever worked with as a therapist had life adjustment issues. They weren't mentally ill. There are very few people. There are people who have real mental illness, and that's horrible and for them. But to just not judge and just be curious. I wonder why this person's angry all the time. A lot of times it's because they have anxiety. I wonder why they have anxiety. Maybe they had severe childhood trauma or non-severe childhood trauma. There's always something going on underneath the story, and yeah, I think that's my message. I never land the plane well. I always crash land it, but better than circling the damn runway for an hour. So anyway, thank you so much. Thank you to the Lukes and to all of you.
All right. Okay, next we have Miss Frances Hardy, and she'll be talking about race and the power of honesty.
I'm going to sit down.
Yeah. Close to the mic, honey.
Hello. Ooh.
Got it.
Well, I'm Frances.
Yeah.
I have a cold. I'm nervous. I make notes because I'm a rambler. So, I was born in Lake Charles, Louisiana in 1954 in a very segregated world. But today, I'm going to talk to you about race and the power of historical honesty. So, how did a girl raised in a very white world end up on this stage talking about historical honesty? I'm curious about that. So, I will tell you that it is not possible to have racial unity if everyone's white. Nor is it really necessary to have even any historical honesty. But if you want to befriend or love people of a different race, which, I mean, race, schmace, you know, it's truly a non-thing. The only race is the human race. But in our country, we have a big racial divide. And I think that we're on the precipice of perhaps healing it. So Dr. Rick Swanson is a political science professor at ULL. And he has a TED Talk, you can get it on YouTube, called Race and the Power of Historical Honesty. And it is powerful. He also has a slideshow. Maybe we should get him to come out here. One of the things that Rick says is that we cannot have racial unity without racial honesty. And that is true. One of the things that happened for me, I met Major in 2001, and neither one of us had any intention of crossing any racial kind of barriers, but clearly we did. And it's been a real gift. But what happened for me, I started to see things. That's when I saw things, I bumped up against some truths that I didn't know. And so many, I could tell you 100 stories, but I'll only tell you one. And this story is really powerful because I'd already been with him 7 years. So Major and I never discussed politics. We didn't care about politics. But in 2008, when Obama was running for president, Major was like, are we going to get a black president? We had a conversation about politics, and I talked to him about my dad's political views. And so I said, well, what do your parents have to say about politics? And he said to me, oh, my baby, my mom and daddy couldn't vote. And I was shocked. In fact, my knees buckled. I was washing dishes. And sure enough, the Voting Rights Act wasn't passed until Major was 18 years old. So the thing I was really curious about was how I didn't get, why was I talking to him, who I'd known for 7 years and I was married to him, about that I didn't realize. What would that be like to grow up with adults who couldn't vote? And I was rather horrified by my ignorance. And I found that my contemporaries shared the same ignorance. Well, in about 2016, I ran into Rick Swanson and his talk, and he revealed a cover-up, the Lost Cause movement, which was Southern whites' attempt to cover up this shameful past. And I know you've all heard it said that the cover-up's worse than a crime. I mean, slavery was really bad, but the cover-up, when you really get to the history of the cover-up, it's pretty shameful. Now, I know that it's true in my inner world and in the outer world that you cannot heal what you don't reveal, and that the truth will set you free, but first, it makes you miserable. You have to face the pain, and you can only heal it when you reveal it. So, you know, as I was thinking about the many roads I could go down in this conversation, like, I'm pretty sure most of my why I'm here has got to do with music. But anyway, the thing that I feel that I most want to share, my experience, is just how learning the true history, the true racial history, and having empathy and healing around race in our country has opened up an entire new world for me. And it is a beautiful thing. And, you know, I really am proud that my daughters and my granddaughters will not grow up in a world where they don't know the truth. And being an eternal optimist, once we heal, once we reveal and heal, we can really be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The end. And thank you, Bob. This is a real cool thing.
You're welcome. Liberty and justice for all, she said.
I would pledge allegiance.
Let's do a little twist.
Okay, that was awesome. All right, next up, we have my own brother, Taylor Luke. He told us to write "Just Trust Me" on the board. But I'm pretty sure he's talking about our family games.
Hey y'all. I'm Taylor Luke. I'm 26. I live in Austin, Texas. I'm the son of Bob and Dee Luke, which tells you a lot about me. It was really cool to grow up here, as you can imagine. We were always the host house for everything. We had people over every weekend. We always had big birthday parties, and I don't know, our house was just always a safe place for a lot of people. And it's been really cool to see the coffee house come into being as what I think is the accumulation of all of that. I'm just really excited for my parents. And I'm here to talk about my own coffee house. So I guess the whole premise of the coffee house is that coffee is the ultimate icebreaker. That you just pour a warm cup, sit down with someone, and talk until something happens. I take a bit more of a brute force approach to having people meet each other. I host my own reality game show competitions where I make challenges, make purposefully frustrating situations, invite a bunch of my friends over, and have them backstab each other, vote each other out, and lie through their teeth for over 24 hours at a time. And basically, I am evil, and it is evil, but I'm kind of cool about it if you just trust me with it. So I think even though the games are a very cutthroat nature, surprisingly I've done over 40 of them. I've had over 300 different players, and I've created a real community out of it, including at least one marriage, which is iconic. Just saying that. So I wanted to talk about why I think the games are so successful in pulling people together, and also a couple takeaways I've had from editing truly hundreds of hours of episodes of these. So first, I think obviously is the feeling of survival that comes with these games. Anyone who's played them before could tell you that it feels like you're in a vacuum. Truly nothing in the outside world exists whenever you're playing, and it truly feels like life or death. So overcoming adversity and obstacles with other people is a really quick way to form a good bond. Someone's alarm's going off. And also, even for the people who don't make it very far, I think we're very good at adding levity to the intensity of the games. Specifically, whenever people are voted off, we try to give them a really funny exit interview, a really funny send-off. They're accepted into the film crew, and we tell them how robbed they were. And just meet the harshness of the games with extra community to fill in those gaps. And ultimately, I think that what makes these games so effective and what I'm so proud of is that they're good practice for life skills that you really don't get to practice in non-high stakes situations. Because ultimately these games are for a prize of $0. So you're able to negotiate, you're able to make tough decisions, you're able to try to form quick bonds quickly, advocate for yourself, advocate for someone else. And I think that being able to do that around friends and in a situation that is ultimately low stakes, even though it feels intense, helps a lot of people find a new confidence in themselves. Like I see, even my boyfriend Oscar, I think he talked about how he walked with a bit more confidence after he played because he didn't like speaking in front of people before, but he was forced to whenever he had to fight for his life in my backyard. And I don't know, I think that even though these games are very cutthroat, I think there's a difference between manipulation and tact that I've brought into my own life. I think that manipulation, the way that people usually think about reality TV shows, you're trying to change people's perspectives and make them make mistakes or do something against what they actually want. But I think the most effective players are the ones who act with tact, and that translates into real life as well. In recognizing someone else's actual perspective, taking a real investment in that, and then showing how your perspective aligns with theirs in order to get them to buy into whatever plan you're pitching. So anyway, I think that all games are a real practice at life. You sit down and simulate one existence in a sitting, whether it's a board game or voting people out of your backyard. And yeah, I don't know. I think just always do your best. I think competition is a way to respect people if you really give your all, but also accept the loss when it's your time to lose. But yeah, that's what I have to say.
anyone ever wants to play a game, there's a link in my brother's Instagram bio. Okay, next up is Merlinda Verdon. She'll be talking about French Creole in Acadiana versus St. Lucia.
Bonsoir, bonsoir, bonsoir tout le monde. Bonne nuit. Good evening, good night. Non, moi c'est Merlinda Burgess. My name is Merlinda Burgess. Moi sorti Saint Lucie. I'm from St. Lucia. En place en Kauai Black, a place in the Caribbean. And two questions I get asked a whole lot is, are you Jamaican? And when people ask me that question, I get the feeling that they want me to know that they know somewhere else besides the US. The most polite question to ask, are you from the Caribbean or from elsewhere? And they also ask me, what are you doing here? That's a huge question. I migrated from St. Lucia about 15 years ago, and I didn't migrate because my island, we don't have freedom. I migrated because of opportunity. Opportunity on a small island. The island is about 14 miles wide and 27 miles long. Just think about it. How big is Louisiana? How many times my island can get into Louisiana? Yeah, you take one day to travel the entire island. But the people there, our heart is really big. We're very friendly. And people ask us why we smile so much. And we always point to the sun, to the heavens, because it's always hot down there. And you have beautiful mountains you wake up to every day. You have the ocean breeze. You have the beautiful waters, the turquoise colors, the bluish colors. And by the way, I'm also an artist. I've been an artist all my life. And I do acrylic palette knife on canvas. I stretch my own canvases. I've tried buying canvases from the store, but it's not the same feeling as starting from scratch, creating your own stretcher and stretching your own canvas and priming it yourself. It gives you like a connection to the painting. And I use just a palette knife that I've always used. It was given to me by another artist from St. Lucia. And I use just that one palette knife to do all my work. I've tried using other palette knives from the stores, it's not the same. It don't work the magic for me. It's not the same feeling. So I'm just stuck to that one palette knife. I don't know what I'll do if it breaks. And I also wanted to touch base on the culture between Louisiana and St. Lucia. When people ask me, what am I doing down here? I lived in Florida for a while when I came up here. And I was on my way to Texas and I stopped in Louisiana. And a friend of mine from St. Lucia, when I told her that I was in Louisiana, she told me, oh, there are lots of people from St. Lucia in Louisiana. I said, really? She said, yeah, around New Orleans area. But then she said, the Louisiana culture is like St. Lucia. I said, okay. So I did a little research on it, and I'm like, damn, we have the same history. Yeah, it's the same between the French and the British. The French Creole, the food, everything is like, I felt like I was back home. The buildings were the same as on the island. If you take a trip to St. Lucia, you'll see the architect on all the buildings and everything is the same as the plantation buildings around here. The food, the seasoning is great. Actually, when, as I said, I lived in Florida for a while, and the food is tasteless in Florida. So when I stopped in Louisiana and I ate the food for the first time, I called my friend down in Florida and I said, Ruth, you wouldn't believe it. The food tastes good here. The people can cook. And she said, really? And I said, yeah. I said, and guess what? Even the white folks can cook too. So it was like a shock for me. But I love that truck, and I never moved on to Texas. I stayed right here in Louisiana, and I've been here for 15 years now. Wow. And I've met some great people. The people are friendly. They laid back. Although I got 1-2 people, you get that everywhere, who's scared of anybody from anywhere else. They hear your accent and then they just panic from that, you know. But I understand, because I panic when I hear somebody from India speaking to me on the phone, so I can relate to that. So I don't judge anybody when it comes to that. Yeah, and as I was saying, between the French and the British, in St. Lucia we speak French Creole, and here I understand is Cajun French. And the similarity is that we both have a French background. St. Lucia was ruled by France 7 times and by British 7 times. So basically they kept going back and forth, back and forth. So you know we were confused people. We don't know what to speak, English or French. So we had the Creole language, so we just spoke our French Creole. But our Creole now is a mixture of French, Patois, and English. So our youngsters now has more English into it, since English now is like a main language. And our local language is like a second language now. And the reason why that happened is that kids were being punished at school if you will speak just Creole and don't speak English. So anytime you spoke Creole at school, you get punished for that. So, but people are resilient. So we're gonna keep on doing what we wanna do. So the Creole didn't die, it just kept going. And when they realized they can't do anything about the Creole, they can't get rid of it. English is our main, we read, we speak English, everything is in English. But the Creole language is the spice of the island. Everything sounds better in Creole than in English to us. So now we celebrate the Creole Festival. It's a worldwide festival celebrating the French Creole. New Orleans has it, the Dominica, St. Lucia, Martinique. It's all these islands which are Creole. They celebrate it every year in October. And New Orleans, we can relate really well to New Orleans because they've got the Mardi Gras Festival, which takes place during the same time we have what we just call Carnival, Vaval in the Caribbean. And it's the same Monday, Tuesday period. It was in February. It's around the same time, and it's the same thing, the same colorful costumes, the same everything. So people come from all over to celebrate. Everybody knows about Trinidad and Tobago Carnival? Yeah, if you're aware about Trinidad and Tobago, well, the rest of the Caribbean does the same thing. We celebrate Fat Tuesday, you call it also. We celebrate that in the Caribbean. And so that's what I wanted to say. We have a lot of similarities. We're not different. Your culture, we are just one. Because during the time of slavery, from what I understand, the ships came to the Caribbean and then to New Orleans. So I might have brothers and, not brothers and sisters, but distant cousins and everything right here in New Orleans that I don't know. Blood-related relatives that I don't know about. You know, because they came from the Caribbean. They did stops in the Caribbean before they came to New Orleans. But one last thing I want to say, that I love the culture. I love everything about Louisiana. I don't know if I'm going to leave because I can't think of anywhere else. The food, I can't leave the seafood, man. I love the seafood. I brag all the time to my people on the island about the crawfish and the shrimp and all what I have. I'm pretty blessed to be here. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, next up we have Cheyenne Aritua, and she will be talking about Cajun and Creole culture.
I met lots of Haitian people in Florida. They're gonna kill you. Yeah, they will. I met lots of Haitian. When we speak Creole, we understand both, and we will be friends.
Hello, everyone. So the title is going to be Inclusion of the Creole and Cajun culture, but overall becoming united. So first, I'd like to thank Mr. Luke for putting together such a beautiful gathering here. What you're trying to do, celebrating the rich tapestry of culture that we carry here in Louisiana, is just so beautiful. And I don't see you, Mr. Luke, but thank you. Thank you. My name is Cheyenne, Aritua, and today I'm highlighting the importance of inclusion and the impact it has on enhancing our Creole and Cajun culture. This is not rehearsed, it's just heartfelt. Gentlemen, if you've ever received a letter from your woman's spouse, you know that this is sincerely heartfelt. As a Mexican American from Cecilia, Louisiana, do I have any Sicilians in here tonight? Yes? If so, ma'am, we from the same family. I'm just glad to see y'all here. But as a Mexican American from Louisiana, I had the opportunity to learn and experience both sides of the culture. I didn't have my first crawfish étouffée until I was 15 years old, just about. And rice and gravy actually fell into the diet around the same time period, whenever my mom got remarried. But when I take a step back and I look at both families, I find a lot of similarities. At both families, I find that we love and embrace our family the same way. We welcome people into our homes in the same way. If we look at this venue here today, this is exactly what we do in the American culture as well as the Latino culture. It's a perfect example. We may eat different food and we may we may speak different languages, but those are the beautiful things that we should embrace. Like trying crawfish étouffée for the first time. Becoming united is giving the ability to welcome each community into the Cajun and Creole traditions and sharing the beauty that lies inside the music, the dance, and food. Those three pillars right there are the pillars that you can find also inside of the Latino community. But as we embrace diversity here, we not only preserve the roots of our community, but allow it to flourish with new perspectives and traditions. Looking ahead, we have a vibrant event coming here to Cafe Detente in early spring called Cuban Nights Festival. And so we welcome y'all to join and just imagine rhythmic dancing, beats of the Latin music, the joyous and traditional artistry of cooking that brings us together to savor the flavors of Latino life. I also like to invite each and every one of y'all to download Cafe Detente app on your phone. Got it? Awesome. But also, you can find us, the Cajun Latinos, on the Cafe Detente correspondent. If y'all haven't heard about Cafe Detente app, it's an amazing place where you can find more information on each and every culture that you get to experience here. Such a beauty in that. Also, we'd like to invite you to our show, or the Latin music station. How about that? Latin music station on the app, 94.9 FM Lafayette, or Facebook on 94.9 FM Lafayette, and on the radio, 94.9. But in conclusion, let's continue to embrace inclusion, cherish our Creole and Cajun roots, and celebrate the beautiful traditions that make us who we are. Join us in the festivities that Cuban Nights Festival here at Cafe Detente, and tune in to the Spanglish Show every Friday on 94.9 FM Lafayette, or you can find us on the Cafe Detente correspondent underneath Cajun Latinos. Thank you, guys.
Okay, and for our last speaker, we have Remy Judice, and he will be talking about the JPG Turkey Trot.
Whoa.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. This is my wife and I's first time. We were invited by Fernando, who came to the turkey trot yesterday. It was Thanksgiving morning. So you missed it this year, except for Fernando and the front row people. So like he said, my name is Remy Judice. My son was Jean-Paul Judice. He was killed 5 years ago. He was hit by a car by accident. And his story is, it kind of links with the turkey trot, in that my sister had this turkey trot. She has 5 kids. We come from a big family. We live on the north side. We know a lot of people, and we always have gatherings. This gathering here is not unfamiliar to us. I recognize a lot of people. My first time here, I recognize Andrew and Mitzi Douillon here. Kind of grew up with them. But so my sister Robin, I'm one of 8. She has 5 kids. We have 6 kids. We have 5 still living. Well, Robin had a race. She did move to Austin with her husband, and they had turkey trots. In the morning, you would get up, you go to a race, a 1-mile race, with your kids, and you. The impetus behind turkey trots are not so much for the 1-mile race, because who could care less about running a mile on Thanksgiving morning? We want to sleep late, we want to eat early and eat late, and then sleep in the afternoon and watch a little football or soccer or whatever you're going to do. But my sister has 5 children. She pretty much took care of them by herself most of the time. She couldn't take 5 children to the local turkey trot in Austin, so she made do. She went out on the street and she marked off a mile, and she gave her kids the 5 numbers along with maybe some other children in the neighborhood, and she had her own turkey trot. I don't know what she called it then, but it wasn't the Austin turkey trot. It was probably whatever street she was living on at the time. And she cooked cinnamon rolls and gave the kids orange juice, and she and her husband and the other adults probably had mimosas and other cocktails to take a little nap before they had to start cooking Thanksgiving dinner. So Robin lived there for a few years, and when she came back to Lafayette, she continued that tradition, and she invited all of my family, and we just happened to be one of her brothers and sisters that brought our kids out there. And Robin did it out of having something to do, but it was about being grateful and having community. She invited all of her neighbors. She lived right down the street. She lived on this side of town. Like I said, we're from the north side, but she lived off of Grandview Terrace, and the whole neighborhood came out. We signed up. We must have had 30 people running. If I brought my kids, that's 6. Hers is 5. That's 11. Because we were 15 before we had invited the neighbors. And so she cooked those. She had everything prepared in the kitchen, and we just came, and it was to be grateful for what you had that day, and really be grateful to be able that you could get out. We still didn't want to get up. My kids didn't want to get up. That was their day off, their week off. But they came and they ran it, and they knew they liked getting together with their cousins and having a good time. Fast forward 5 years, she's still having it, and Jean-Paul, our number 4 or 5, he was 16, 17, and he came every time. The older kids stopped coming, the ones we couldn't make come, but Jean-Paul would show up, and by that time we had some really good competition. We had some high school runners, some collegiate runners, some older runners that ran these road races, and they thought that they were going to come out and take that race. And we don't know, Jean-Paul was a soccer player, and a pretty good one, but he won that race. It was his race to win. He actually came out one year in some Sperry's and won that race. And a good time. So in 2018, he was walking home, not far from our home, with his brother, and a car struck him and killed him. It was a huge tragedy. You don't know where to turn. You know, your life is in shambles. But fortunately, we were very grounded. We would never let a tragedy stop us from having joy and being together. And so we have, like I said, we have a huge family. My wife has a huge family. I love her to death. My sister loves us. And so she took this race the following year and she made a memorial for Jean-Paul. And we wanted to have his memory mean something in the future. We wanted it to benefit other people. So we formed a nonprofit. Lisa and Robin run the nonprofit. And we have the JPJ Memorial Turkey Trot every Thanksgiving. It's a small race now. I think we had 200 people for Thanksgiving. The money that we generate, we're giving it away. We give it to Catholic Charities. We gave it to the diner last year, and we're giving it to them this year. They're very appreciative. They had tons of people waiting for dinner, 750 people waiting for breakfast for Thanksgiving. And I don't know if we're going to continue giving to the same charity every year, but that's the race. And I know this is a small venue. There's only probably 100 people here, but we hope that you are the seeds. It's always start small. You're the seed. You tell your people, you come. Don't worry about it. It's an hour. We start at 9. You finish by 10. We still have the best cinnamon rolls in Lafayette. I guarantee you. I've eaten cinnamon rolls everywhere. My sister kills it. Lisa makes them too. She'll say that she probably makes most of them while Robin's planning the rest of it. But we have endless mimosas. We have laughs and fun under the hammock in Moncas Park. And most of all, we have community. We're growing community so that we can be grateful in this world where people are not included. Jean-Paul was remarkable in his in the way he lived his short life. He taught us a lot about the friends that he had, the friends that he kept, the people at his funeral that told us all the stories that they told us. It's too many. It was strange for Lisa and I to hear stories that we did. You don't know your kids really at 19 and 20. You don't know what they're doing and how they treated people. Especially if you have 6, you don't remember them all. You hope that you gave them some lessons. But the stories we heard that they told us about Jean-Paul, it hurt. It hurt to lose someone like that for his potential in this world. And so we want this seed, this small seed right here to grow. So tell your friends, y'all come out. It doesn't take that much time. You will be grateful that you came. Personal testimony, Fernando, I met him through work just a couple of months ago, and he came out and he was astounded at what he saw, what he felt really, not what he saw, it's a race. But what he felt when he got there, you can't help but to be appreciative and be grateful on that Thanksgiving day that you were able to get out with your family, with your friends, spend a little money so we could give it away. And that's what we want to continue to do. So Jean-Paul, JPJ, it's on Facebook, Instagram. If you put JP Turkey, it's going to come up. You won't be able to miss it. So I invite you to come, and thank you for giving us the platform. Fernando, thank you for inviting me. And y'all have a good time.
I think I know everybody here, but I'm Dee Dee Luke, otherwise known as Bob's wife. Thomas Taylor and Emma's mom. So I am the only thing standing between you and some more Sarah Russo. But I do want to remind you to please go sign up on our website. You can go on the website without signing up. You can see our Chronicles, which is rolling out. We're going to have so many interesting things for you to look at. We're adding more and more every day. But if you don't sign up, you don't get to be chosen for special events. Our next one being December 14th. We're having a wine toast
Italian wine, eight different wines from Italy. But if you're not signed up, you won't be you can't sign up to be chosen to come to those smaller, intimate events. This is open to the public, anyone can come, but we're trying to create all these little bitty things that you can come to and meet more people and increase your community and your networking and just hear all these interesting stories on a one-on-one basis. So please sign up on our website, cafedetentela.com. We also have an app. It's both on Android and Apple. And without further ado, I do want Sarah is coming somewhere around me to come back on stage. If you haven't already, we have wonderful potato soup made by the great Uncle Grant Luke. His cooking is famous in our family. Please get some. We also have coffee and lattes and everything else inside. Is Sarah behind me? No. Yes. So thank you all for coming. We will be having another series beginning in the spring, and we're going to put our calendar on the website for the entire year, so you'll be able to know and plan ahead. I hope this isn't your last Fayette. This is our third, and we're looking forward to a great season in 24. Thank you so much. And if Amy is here, is Amy not here? She is. Where is she? It is Amy's birthday. She is 32. She is 32, y'all. She's looking great. Make sure you go tell her happy birthday. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dee Dee. That was awesome. That was a great presentation. Happy birthday, Amy. I didn't know that you were younger than